WJEC Numeracy Unit 2 Calculator Allowed Intermediate Tier paper. Okay, so first page or first question says calculate the price of a t-shirt from this sale. So the sale was £46, now 22% off on the sale. So what's the new sale price of that? Now, you can do this by either working out 22% and then taking it off 46, or you can use multipliers. Now, I'm going to use multipliers, so I think it's more efficient and a quicker way. The original price is 100%. I want to take off 22%. 100% take away 22% would be 78%. Write the percentage as a decimal, so 0.78, and then you multiply 0.78 by the price of what the t-shirt was, and we're going to get £35.88. Okay. Now, similarly, you could have used exactly this. Well, you could use a different method of saying 22%, so 0.22 times by 46 to find the answer is £10.12. So that's going to come off 46. So 46 take away £10.12 will give us £35.88. So both ways absolutely work fine. So whichever one you find easier, no extra marks given for using either method. Okay, the question below says calculate the sale price of a pair of shoes. So this is 3/8 off. Okay, so again, I'm going to use a similar method that the whole thing would have been one whole. So if I do one whole take away 3/8, that would give me 5/8. That's what the current price is. It's now 5/8 of what it was. So I'm then going to do 5/8 multiplied multiplied by £43.60. Fraction button 5/8 times by £43.60 is £27.25. Let's make sure they've got pound signs with them as well. Okay, again, no reason why you couldn't find 3/8 and then take it off that as well. Absolutely fine. And then the final question on this page says, before the sale, a pair of jeans cost £43. In the sale, they cost £37. What fraction of the jeans been reduced by in the sale? So they've gone from 43 to 37, so that's a discount of 6 out of the original price, so out of 43. So I'm looking for 6 out of 43. Okay, so next question over the page says, number 2, mixing 200 millilitres of white paint with 10 millilitres of red paint and 5 millilitres of blue makes light purple paint. Paint is sold in tins of 250, 500 mils and 1 litre. Okay, so we need to know that 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres because everything else is in millilitres. So let's make sure they're all in millilitres. Jana is going to make some light purple paint. She does not want to have to buy any white, red or blue paint left over. She wants to buy as few tins as possible. She buys 250 millilitres of blue. How much paint is she going to need to buy altogether? Okay, so this is a ratio question. It's very important that we read the ratios in the order they come in. So we're told that mixing white paint, so 200 millilitres white, and next thing is then going to be 10 millilitres red, and then 5 millilitres of blue. Okay, so we have to go in that order that it came there. So white to red to blue. So I'm going to say white, ratio dots, red, ratio dots, blue. Okay, we're then told that within those ratio dots, the white is equivalent to 200, the red is equivalent to 10, and the blue is equivalent to 5. We're then told in the question that she buys blue paint, so the green highlighter, there. Okay, so that needs to become 250. So how much paint do I go and buy of everything else? Well, what if I times 5 by to make 250? So calculator, 250 divided by 5 will tell me what I've times the ratio by 50. So I need to do 10 times by 50, so 500, and I need to do 200 times by 50, which I will just check in the calculator, to get 10,000. Now 10,000 would be millilitres. All of these are in millilitres. And as I said before, we knew that was going to happen because of what we've got here, that there's going to be some sort of conversion going on. So from there, because that's such a big number, I'm actually going to change that into litres. So I'm going to divide it by 1,000. So it'll be 10 litres of white needed, 500 ml of red needed, and 250 ml of blue needed. Okay. Now from here, we've then got this table to fill in, and we need to just come back and read this bit of the question here. We're told that paint is sold in tins at 250, 500, and 1 litre. Okay, so the white paint then is probably the easiest to do. If it's 10 litres, the biggest paint that we can get is 1 litre, and we'll get 10 of those. And then in terms of the red, 500 mils, that's actually an option that we can buy, so we'll just buy one 500 millilitre tin. Okay, so the total tins of paint, 1 and 1 and 10, make 12. Okay, question 3 is a Venn diagram. I want to have a quick read of the question and I'll start going through it. Okay then, it says Airband Electrics only sell digital tablets and covers. The Venn diagram shows the number of items sold by Airband Electronics in the first week in May. So this circle here for tablets tells me they sold 55 tablets alone. Okay, they sold 48 tablets and covers together, and they sold just 14 covers. Okay, they didn't sell anything else because that's the only things they sell. That's why that 0 is there. Okay, each tablet was sold for 220. Each cover was sold for £18. How much money did Airband Electronics take in the first week of May? You must show all your working. Well, we know we're going to have 55 lots of 220, which is these guys. We'll work that out in a second with the calculator. I'm going to do all of my working here now. We're going to then have 48 lots of 220 and 48 lots of £18, because that's these guys. They were sold 48 tablets and covers at the same time. And then we're going to have just 14 covers sold at the end. So that's going to be 14 times by 18. Okay, that's those guys. So 55 times by 220. 220 is 12,100. And then 48 times by 220 and 48 times by 18 comes to 11,424. And then 14 lots of covers, so 14 times 18 comes to 252. So if I add those together now, I'll know what the total value is. It's 12,100 plus 11,424 plus 252 is 23,776. Okay. Question 4. It says, Rushmore Energy is a company that supplies electricity. Last year, Rushmore Energy displayed the following information in a pie chart. So we've got this whole pie chart. We know that's 50%, 25%. The whole thing has got to add up to 100%. So 50 and 25 is 75, 80, 85, 90, 95. So profit is 5%. It looks by just checking that they add up. It then says the pie chart represents a total of 9,100 million. Okay, how much profit did Rushmore make last year? Well, their profit was the missing bit of the pie chart. They didn't tell me, but we know it's 5%. So it's going to be 5% of this total. So to work 5% out, that's going to be 0.55, or if you like, 5 out of 100 percentage, times by 9,100 million. So in my calculator, what I'll do is just do 5 out of 100, or 0.55, same thing, times by 9,100. Forget the million for now. That tells me it's 455 million, which is great because that's actually what they put in the answer there. But if I needed to, I'd just add 6 zeros on the end of that number. We're then asked for part B. Make sure you can see it. It says part B. Rushmore Energy makes. Oh, hang on. Sorry. Last year, Rushmore Energy had 8.58 million customers. The previous year, Rushmore Energy had 8.21 million customers. How many extra customers are there this year? Okay, so what we want to do is 8.58, take away the 8.21. Use your calculator in this paper, you're allowed to, so it makes sense to. So 8.58, take away 8.21, which gives me 0.37 million customers. Now, that's obviously not an option. So what I need to do is times that. To get rid of this word million, I need to times that by 1 million. Okay, so a million is 1 with 6 zeros. So all I'm going to say is 0.37 times by 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Times by a million is 3, 7, and 4 zeros. So I'm looking for 3, 7, and 4 zeros. It's this one here. 370,000 is what that would equate to. Part C says, Maggie looks at the back of her electricity bill. It shows how much energy she used in her last period. This is the display she sees. So 900 kWh stands for kilowatts, down 8% to 828%. It says, is this decrease of 8% correct for the reduction in kilowatts? Okay, so what we need to do is work out what that is. So the formula I'm looking for is the difference divided by the original times by 100. Now that formula there, you need to learn to work out percentage increase or percentage decrease. So by working out the difference, I'm going to do 900 take away 828. I'm going to divide it by what it was originally. So I'm going to divide it by 900, and then I'm going to times that by 100. So into my calculator, 900 take away 828 over 900 times by 100 is 8%. So was it correct? Yes. So I've worked out the same. So that's the answer. Okay, over the page, we're told that we're going to be assessed on the quality of our written communication, etc., etc. In terms of that, that's only worth 2 marks. We've still got 5 for the maths, okay? Now, top tips for answering this, because it's given it in terms of money, we're going to make sure you put pound signs with every answer, and we're going to give any units that we work out as kilowatts per hour, and just make sure that we're writing everything that we need to, and we're not just showing like random calculations trying to explain everything that we've done. We're told that Maggie used 828 kilowatts of electricity this period. Electricity was charged at 0.18 or 18 pence per kilowatt. So if she's used 828 kilowatts, if I know that 1 kilowatt costs 18p, to work out 828, I need to multiply those two numbers together. So we're going to do 828 kilowatts times by 18 pence. So you can see what I'm doing. 828 kilowatts times by 0.18 comes to a cost of, so this is what I mean, put your pound sign here, 14904. And truth be told, in the answer bits here, it's not the end of the world if you don't put it, but put these bits here, okay? It then says the standing charge payable was £65. Now, standing charge is money that goes onto my bill. So I now want to do £149.04, add £65 to get £4. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just put a little arrow and point to why I've added that on. Okay, so I'm going to say standing charge gets added to the bill, just so we know where that's come from. In some respects, I could go and put an arrow here and just say, more rather than point it there and say cost of electric. Okay, so that's the cost of just the electric alone. Then we're adding on the standing charge. The next thing we're told is that VAT at 5% is payable on the total cost of the electricity used and the standing charge. So now we need to do 5 out of 100 times by £214.04. That comes to £10.07, and then that will get added onto my bill. So we're going to then say, so the total cost would equal 200. Add the £10.70, which comes to £224.74. Okay, final bit I'm going to do is just put an arrow pointing to that and saying working out the cost of the VAT. Okay. Okay, now this question here on tax, generally people hate these questions. The best way that I can use to describe this is I always think of the money that she earns as a big block like this. So we're told in the question that she earns before tax $25,000. Okay, so I'm going to put in 25,000 here as her money. Okay. Now, we're told that her personal allowance is up to $10,000. She doesn't pay any tax at all on that. So on that block, where would 10,000 be? Roughly about there. And that's 0% on $10,000. Okay? So what have we got left here? How much of this block is left? Well, 15,000 must be what's left in this block. And we're told basic rate is 10 to 22,000. So up to the 22,000, that block, so really high now, up to there. We've got that amount there, so that would be from 10 to 22, so that would be 10% tax, no, 20% tax on 10 to 22, so that would be on $12,000. Okay. Now, finally, anything that's over $22,000, we pay 25% on. So we're going to pay 25% on what's left. So that would be 25% on 22 to 25 would give me 3,000. Okay. Now, I scratched my head for ages on this question because I kept on missing a really key word in the question. I can be quite bad at doing that when I read these questions. It says, show that Zara should have paid $2,400 tax at the basic rate. The basic rate was looking at this bit here, so I'm only doing this calculation here. Okay, so 20% would be 20 out of 100, or 0.20, times by 12,000. That goes into my calculator, and I will get my answer. So 0.2, or 20 out of 100, times by 12,000 tells me that we are going to be paying 2,400 just at the basic rate of tax. Now, the next bit of the question says, Zara's total tax bill last year was £4,000. She thinks an error has been made. To calculate how much tax should be refunded to Zara, you must show all your working. Well, so far, I've only worked out the 20%. Also paid 25% on 3,000. Okay, so what I need to do now is 25%, or 0.25, or 1 over 4, so times by 3,000. And we get 750. She should have paid another 750. So far in total, well, I say so far in total, what she should have paid, total tax should be 2,400 add 750. Okay, so if we work out 2,400 add 750, we get 3,150. That's what it should have been. What she actually paid, it's quite a bit more, was 4,000. So that would get refunded. So to work out the refund, we'd do 4,000 take away 3,150. And we get the answer $850. Okay? Okay, question 6. It says, Emmy has set up his own lawnmower, has set his lawnmower to work at a constant speed of 2,000 meters per hour. He walks a distance of 300 meters when he cuts his lawn. Use this information to calculate how long Emmy takes to cut his lawn. Give your answer in meters. In minutes. Okay, now we know from here that he's working at 2,000 meters per hour. So we're going to say 2,000 meters is equal to, now I would say per hour, however, it says here it wants the answer to be in minutes. So rather than writing 1 hour, I'm going to say that in minutes because that's what I want my final answer in. Okay, now we know that his lawn, or he walks a distance of 300 meters when he does that. Okay, however, I can't divide 2,000 by a number and get 300 easily. Okay, so what I'm going to do is divide it to get a really nice number, which should be 100. Okay, to get 100, I would divide that by 20. Now, what I could do instead, actually, I'll tell you what I'll do instead, slightly easier way, is if I know what 2,000 meters is equal to 16 minutes, if I divide this side by 2,000, whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other side. So what I'm going to do is work out how long it takes to mow 1 meter. So 60 divided by 2,000 gives me 0.03 minutes. Now, his lawn, we're told, was 300 meters. So to make that 300 meters, I just need to times both sides by 300. So 1 times by 300 gives me 300 meters, and then 0.03 times by 300 gives me 9 minutes. It's probably slightly easier than the way I was about to do. Next parts of the question is what people tend to struggle on. Have a quick read. It says, what assumption have you made? So assumption is what are we assuming that's going to happen when we cut that? And the one that we're looking for here, or the one that I'm going to use anyway, is that he cuts the lawn at a constant rate, i.e. all of the grass cut takes exactly the same time, okay? So that's what my assumption is. So cuts grass at a constant rate. Okay, what impact would this have on the time calculated? What impact would this have on the time that you've calculated? Well, basically, if we're going to cut the grass, it's very unlikely that by the time I've actually turned around and moved around and maneuvered the lawnmower, I'm not just going to be cutting at exactly the same rate all the time. So more time would be needed. That's basically the 9 minutes is basically just saying I'm pushing the lawnmower in one straight 300-meter line. Whereas I'm guessing that's not what his garden is. By the time you've actually turned around and sort of done it in sort of strips as you've cut the lawn, it's more likely that it's going to take a longer time. Okay, so more time would be needed. Part B says, Emir cuts his lawn 25 times a year. He uses 4.5 litres of petrol for his lawnmower each year. How much petrol does his lawnmower use for every 100 metres that Emir walks? You give your answer in litres. Okay, so we know that he uses 4.5 litres of petrol. That is equal to 25 times how big his lawn is. And his lawn was 300, wasn't it? Okay, so that's really equal to 25 times by 300 metres. So 4.5 litres would be equal to 25 times by 300. 25 times by 300 is 750 metres. And then we want to know how much petrol it uses for every 100 meters. So I need to make this number 100. So what I could do is divide both sides by 7,500. 7,500 divided by itself will give me 1 meter. So 4.5 divided by 7,500 is a really small number. It's given to me in standard form. I could just write the fraction, maybe slightly easier. So 3 out of 5,000. And then to work out 100 meters, I need to times that by 100. So times that answer by 100, I get 3 out of 50, which I SD to get 0.06 litres. Okay, so every 100 meters he mows, it takes up 0.06 litres. For part C, it says petrol costs £1.30 per litre. Emmy says the petrol for my lawnmower cost me approximately 60p per pint. Is Emmy correct? You must show your working. Now, for this, you need to know the following conversion. 1 litre is equal to 1.75 pints approximately, but it's absolutely fine to just do a normal equal sign there, okay? Now, I'm told here that a litre is equal to £1.30, so I'm going to put £1.30 in place of the 1 litre is what I get for 1.75 pints. Now I'm supposed to get per pint, means per 1 pint, so I'm going to divide this by 1.75, which means I need to divide that by 1.75, and that will give me, anything divided by itself will give me 1, so per pint, per 1 pint, and then £1.30 divided by 1.75 gives me an answer of 74 pence to 2 decimal places. So is he right? No, he's not right. It's 74. It's not approximately. That's too far away for me. Okay. Approximately, if it was like 65p, you could say, yeah, it's approximately 60, but that's too far, 14 pence away. D. Emmy's friend claims that she walks 1 7/8 of a mile when she cuts her lawn. Approximately how far is that in meters? So here's another conversion we need to know. 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. Okay. Now, she says she walks 1 7/8. So what I need to do is times that by 1, or not 0.1 7/8. Okay. Now, whatever I do to one side, I need to do to the other. Which is exactly the same thing there. And if I do 1 times by 1 7/8, that's going to be 1 7/8 of a mile. Now I need to do 1.6 times by. Now I can get the fraction button to look like that by pressing Shift and the normal fraction button, say 1 7/8. I press equals and I get 3 kilometers. 3 kilometers is 3,000 meters, so it would be that one there. Now there is another way to do what I did. If we go and work out 7/8, we press that there, we find it out as a decimal, it's 0.875. So what I could have done is done 1.6 times by 1.875 instead, and it still would have told me 3. Okay, so 3 kilometers is 3,000 meters. Okay, then question 7. Have a quick read of the question, get your head around it, and I'll start going through it. Okay, then it says Tube Cycles makes a large number of bikes each day. The graph shows the number of bikes made on the 1st of July each year from 2012 to 2017. How many bikes were sold on the 1st of July 2014? So 2014, that is my answer there. It is 1 above 1,000. It's 1 little square if you look closely. If I work out that scale, there's 10 little squares that go into 1,000. So doing 1,000 divided by 10 will tell me that each little square is worth 100. So it would be 1,100. So this one here. Okay. The next one says, from the graph, is it possible to tell how many bikes were made on the 1st of December 2014? Now, they've told me that this graph always shows the 1st of July. So if I'm looking for the 1st of December, it would be somewhere in between July and July. So somewhere around here, which you could get an approximate, but you wouldn't be able to tell because it's just an estimate. It could be that you make all your bikes literally in the last month of the year. So I'm going to say no, as bikes may not may not have been sold at the same rate throughout the year. Okay, and then finally it says, or finally on this page, it says complete the statement below. On the 1st of July, there were than that on the 1st of July 2012, sorry. So let's go and find that. That was 500. Let's go and find this. Loads, 3,500. So we've got 3,500 there, we've got 500 there. So 500 times by what is equal to 3,500. Effectively, you are going to then divide by the 500 to the 3,500. Divide top and bottom by 100. How many 5s go into 35? 7. So the answer will be 7 times. Part D says, on the 1st of December 2016, 4,000 bikes were made by Tube Cycles Factory. The Tube Cycles Factory was working at 80% capacity on that day. When this means that only 80% of the maximum possible number of bikes were made. When the factory works at 95% capacity, how many bikes will be made in one day? So you make the statement that they've told us in the question. 80% is equal to 4,000. 4,000 bikes, but they tell me that quite clearly here. 80%, 4,000 bikes. I don't want that to be 80, I want that to be 95. So I'm going to use a tip that I've used quite a few times in this video already. And divide both sides by 80. 80 divided by 80 will tell me what 1% is. 4,000 divided by 80 is, I'm going to say 50. I'm just going to double check that with my calculator. I'm just giving myself, silly not to check when you've got a calculator. 50, yeah, that's right. I'm then asked to find what it would be if it worked at 95% capacity. The whole point of finding 1% is you can find any percentage very easily now. To find 95%, I just need to times that by 95. But whatever I do to one side, I need to do to the other. Okay? So 50 times by 95 gives me an answer of 4,750 bikes. Okay, part E. So a reasonably straightforward estimating the mean question. So what we need to do this, it tells you there are 3 bikes that 3 days were between 1,000, including 1,000, up to 1,999, just under 2,000, less than 2,000. The 3 days when that amount of bikes were made. They could have all been 1,999. They could have all been 1,000. We don't know, so what we do is we take a guess. We call that guess the middle of those 2 values. So the middle of 1,000 and 2,000 would be 1,500. We call that my midpoint. 2,500 similarly here, 3,500 and 4,500. Top tip for you, go and grey out underneath this new midpoint column. You never add up the midpoint column, but you will add up this column, the frequency, and we make another column called the midpoint times by the frequency, and you will add those together. Okay, now 3 times by 1,500 is 4,500. 12 times by 2,500 is 30,000. 9 times by 3,500 is 31,500. And then 7 times by 4,500 is 31,500 again. Okay, now this will add up the total number of bikes that are made. So 31,500, add 31,500, add 30,000, add 4,500, comes to 97,500. And because it was in October 2018, I know what this should add up to. It should add up to 31, but just double check it. It says 31 days in October. It does, lovely. To then work out the mean, you do the total number of bikes, so 97,500 divided by the total number of days. So 97,500 divided by 31 gives me an answer that should be between 1,000 and 5,000. If it isn't, we've gone wrong. 3,145. 3,145.1 Now, you can't have 0.1 of a byte, but it's fine as an average to say, it's not 0.1, it's 0.2 it should be, so I'll just say 0.16 to 2 decimal places. Unless it tells me there, I can round it to either 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, or the nearest whole number. You just need to tell them that's what we're doing. It then says which group contains the median, and they bolded the word median there. Median is the middle of 31. Now, to find that quickly, if you do 31 plus 1 and divide that by 2, 31 plus 1 is 32, and then half of that is 16. We're looking for the 16th piece of data. Now, the first 3 pieces of data here, then the next 12, so 15 in total. We're looking for the 16th. The 16th would come into this category here, in between 3,000 and 4,000. So it would be this one here. Okay? Okay, then. Question 8, then. This was the first question on the higher paper. So have a quick read of it. It's quite a wordy question, and we'll start to go through it now. Okay? Okay, it says Amrit and Gareth are planning to go to Switzerland. The table below shows the rates for exchanging British pounds and Swiss francs at a money exchange shop. Buy Swiss francs, blah, blah, blah. Sell Swiss francs, blah, blah, blah. Now, it then says the exchange shop has all possible British notes and coins, sells CHF notes, so that's these notes here, no coins, in notes only, and the notes we have are 10, 20, 50, 100, 200, and 1,000. Okay. It then says Amrit has £480 to buy Swiss francs. Calculate the maximum number of Swiss francs that Amrit can buy and how much the nearest penny this will cost him. You must show all your working. Well, we know that when we're buying Swiss francs, it says here, let me just use the highlighter again, buying Swiss francs, that we are getting the rate £1 is equal to 1.24 CHF. Now, to change 1 to 1.24, we would times it by 1.24. To change back, we would divide by 1.24. Now, we've got £480, we're here, so we want to times that by 1.24. Do 480 times by 1.24. That goes into our calculator. And we get the answer 595.2. Okay. Now, that would be CHF there, these Swiss francs. The problem is my notes come in 10, 20, 50, 100, 200, okay? Now, that's going to be easy enough to get pretty close to. For instance, I can give you 200, 200, and 100 to make the 500s, a 50, 220s would make the 90, and then that's it. I can't get any closer than getting to 590. So using the notes, the closest I can get is 590 CHF. Okay. Now, from there, we are then asked to work out how much this will cost me. Okay. So basically, I've gone and said I've got £480 to say, oh, you can afford this amount, but we don't have anything lower than a 10. So we've got to 590. And then, obviously, they wouldn't pay the whole money, so I haven't quite got to what I should have had. So we now do 590 divided by 1.24 to turn it back to pounds, see how much that should cost. So 590 divided by 1.24 is equal to £475.81. It's 2 decimal places because it's pounds and pence. Okay. Question 8 says Gareth paid 250 to buy 310 CHF. Unfortunately, he is unable to go to Switzerland. How much will Gareth lose in selling 310 CHF back into pounds? So we're selling this time, okay? So we're coming and using a different exchange rate, okay? Now again, I'm going to write out that exchange rate, 1.28 CHF is equal to £1. How do I change pounds into CHF? I times by 1.28. How do I change it going back? I divide by 1.28. Anything divided by itself is 1. 1 times by anything is the new thing. Okay. Now Gareth, he has 310 CHF. So we want to do 310 CHF. To change that to pounds, we're going to divide that by 1.28. And that comes to £242 and 19 pence. And we were asked how much has he lost. So he had 250. He gets back £242 and 19 pence. So taking those away tells you that he lost £7.81. Okay? Okay then, question 9. It says, Leonard's tent is in the shape of a triangular prism. The cross-section of the tent is an isosceles triangle. Okay, well, if that's isosceles, then we know this is also 1.8 meters, and this is also 0.7 meters going here across, okay, because these things here would be the same. She noted a few of the measurements on a tent as shown below. Give the volume of her tent. Now, the volume of a prism, we're told on the second page, okay, we're told this. Volume of a prism is the area of the cross-section, so what shape we would see if we slice that going backwards along the length, okay? Now, they've told us what the shape is we'd see. Right here is a triangular prism, okay? So we'd see a triangle. So to work it out, we need to say volume is equal to the area of the cross-section, so that's the area of a triangle in this case, times by the length, times by how long it goes back, okay? So to work out the triangle, we need to do the base times by the height. Now, the problem is we know the base is 1.4, not 0.7, it's 1.4, because it's the whole way along. We don't know what this height is. However, I'm looking at that and seeing a right angle triangle. I'm seeing that I know two of the sides, 0.7 and 1.8. So what I could do is do Pythagoras' theorem to work out the missing height here. Now, because I know the hypotenuse, I want to do 1.8 squared, subtract 0.7 squared, to find this height here. Okay, I'll just call it x now for x squared. That goes into my calculator. 1.8 squared minus 0.7 squared comes to 2.75 is equal to x squared. I square root the 2.75 and probably get I get 1.65 blah blah blah. Okay, so what I'm going to do in my calculator is ensure that I just use that as my ands button. Okay, so to work out the area of the triangle, I would do base times height divided by 2 and times it by the length, times it by how long it goes back. The base of the triangle, base, is that. The height of the triangle is that, and I've just worked out that that is this number here. And then finally, the length of the triangle is how long it goes back. So it's that. Okay? So that is going to be the base. So 1.4 times by the height. So 1.65 blah, blah, blah number. All of that divided by 2. And I'm going to times that by 2.5. So from here, I'm going to put that into my calculator as follows. I'm going to press AC, not on. I'm going to press fraction button. The base, 1.4 times by the height, which I'm going to use ands, divided by 2, move round to the side, times by 2.5. And I'm going to get the answer 2.9 to 1 decimal place. It doesn't tell me to round it in anything, so 2.9 to 1 decimal place, which would be meters cubed. Okay. We're then asked below, now this is quite a nasty question, it says, which of the following is equal to 0.2 meters cubed? Circle your answer. Now, you would assume meters to centimeters is 100, but that's not strictly true when we're talking about volumes. If I go and draw a cube here, and let's say it measures 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, 1 times 1 times 1 would give me 1 meter cubed. Agreed? Okay, let's not say that it's in meters. Let's say that it's in centimeters, which would be 100 centimeters. 100 centimetres and 100 centimetres. Then to work out the volume, I do 100 times by 100 times by 100. Now that would give me 1 million centimetres cubed. Okay, now we know these two things are equal, so to change from meters cubed to centimetres cubed, I don't times by 100, I actually times by 100 times by 100 times by 100 times by 100 cubed, I times by million. So to change 0.2 meters cubed in centimetres cubed, I need to times it by a million. So I've done that, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. So I'm looking for the one with 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's this one here. Okay. Okay. Question 10. It says cycle frames are made from steel, aluminium, or carbon fibre. The table below gives the density of the steel, aluminium, and carbon fibre. So that table just gives me the density of that. Then it says Owen has a cycle frame made from aluminium. So aluminium, we're looking at this one here. Density, they've told us the answer, they've told us how to work things out here anyway. It says his cycle frame is 9,450. It then says calculate the volume of aluminium is equal to, and I'm just taking it from what this grams is how we measure mass, slash means divide, centimetres cubed would be volume. Okay, that formula there, worth knowing, but like I said, usually they tell you in the question how you can work it out. We're told that the density of aluminium is 2.7. That would be equal to the mass, which I'm told is 9,450 grams. That's great. They don't usually put it in the same. They usually say 9.45 kilograms. We'd have to convert that, but we've not had to do that because it's in grams there. They told me it's in grams there. And then divided by the volume, which I don't know, I'm just going to leave as V. Now I want to rearrange that to get V by itself. So I'm going to times it by the 2.7, and I'm going to divide it by the 2.7 in one go. So effectively, they just switch sides. So then I am going to get 7 to get a volume of, I missed out the 9, sorry, of 3,500 centimetres cubed. Okay, the next question says, Bethan has a cycle frame identical to Owen's cycle frame. However, her cycle frame is made from carbon fibre. Okay, so we're working with this guy this time. We're then asked to calculate the mass of this frame. Okay, so again, using density is equal to mass over volume. So D is equal to M over V. Her density is 1.6. Her mass we don't know. We're asked to work that out. But we now know what the volume is from the last question. It's 3,500. So then to work that out, the mass, we need to times it by 3,500 on this side. And that would tell us what the mass is. So 1.6 times by 3,500 gives me an answer of 5,600 grams. Okay, question 18. Have a quick read of the question, get your head around it. Okay, then it says the diagram below is a sketch of the Eiffel Tower. The sketch is drawn to scale. Now, so many times when we read a question, we're told the diagram is not drawn to scale. So this one is drawn to scale. It says the Eiffel Tower is 324 meters tall. Visitors can climb up to level 2, viewing platform using the internal steps. Okay, so got my ruler here. I'm going to measure. I'm going to make a line at the top of that. There. I'm going to measure this line here, see how long it is. So I've made that 9 centimeters, exactly 9 centimeters. Now, to the viewing platform, how long is that? Oh, exactly 3. So it's a third of the way up. And we know that that is equivalent to 324 meters. So 3 centimeters, if 9 centimeters is equal to 324 meters, then 3 centimetres must be equivalent to a third of that. So 324 divided by 3 comes to 108 metres. Okay, so that's equal to 108 metres. The next thing you've got to think of is, it says, which of the following is a reasonable estimate for the number of steps from the ground to the viewing platform? Well, how big are steps? If you think about it, let's have a look at your ruler. How big is a step that you go and walk up in school? It's probably somewhere. It's not as big as 30 centimetres. It's definitely not as big as that, but it's probably quite a bit of it. I'm going to say it's 20 centimetres. Now, because this is in metres, I need to make sure that a step, so if I just draw my steps here, 20 centimetres, I need to make sure it's in the same units. So I divide that by 100 to turn that into metres. So I want to know how many steps are in 108. 1.2, and that tells you there's about 540. So which of those is about 540? Yeah, only the 650. All the others seem quite unreasonable to me. Okay. And then the final question to finish off, it says calculate the angle of elevation at the top of the Eiffel Tower from the point P. Now they've gone and drawn everything on there, but we could have been expected to know what an angle of elevation means. That it's the one that where we're on the floor, and as we elevate, we look at the angle that would make. Okay. Now I'm going to call that angle X because I don't know it. Because I'm after it, this would be opposite that angle, this would be adjacent to that angle, and this would be the hypotenuse of a right angle triangle. Okay. I know the adjacent and I know the opposite. I do not know the hypotenuse. I'm now writing out SOHCAHTOA, and because I know the adjacent and the opposite, I'm going to cross out O and A in SOHCAHTOA. The one that is double crossed out is TOA. That stands for tan angle, which I don't know, so it says tan X is equal to the opposite side, which is 800. I don't want to know what tan X is, I want to know what just X is. So to do that, I will do inverse tan of both sides. And now I will do tan minus 1 of 324 over 800 to get tan is equal to, oh sorry, not tan is equal to get X is equal to, so I press shift and tan, 324 fraction 800, and then bracket at the end, 22.0 to 1 decimal place. Okay, hopefully that was useful. If it was, please hit the subscribe button and you'll get access to any videos as and when I release them on YouTube. Thank you very much.